Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Ogar. On the news this hour, former Lagos Governor and APC National Leader Bola Tinubu says ambition of 2023 is the root cause of the crisis rocking the APC, describes situation as a 2023 virus. Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, sets up a 2 billion naira relief fund after the explosion which caused devastation in the ABULE-ADO area of Lagos, leaving about 18 people dead. And crisis rocked the Lagos State House of Assembly over last week's removal of some officers. Lawmakers engaged in internal wrangling. Welcome everyone to the program. We begin with not so good news where many people have died in the aftermath of the devastating explosion at the ABULE-ADO area in Emwanta local government area of Lagos. The Lagos State government says it will set up an investigative committee to look into the incident. This was announced by the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who visited the scenes of the blast this morning to assess the situation. The committee, headed by the Deputy Governor, Mr. Bafemi Hamzat, is to carry out an extensive investigation into what caused the catastrophe and what needs to be done to prevent a repeat. Governor Sanwo-Olu also announced the setting up of 2 billion naira emergency release fund for those affected by the disaster.
I have 3 account numbers already. I have the Polaris Bank that has 40,300,17510. Polaris Bank. So the account name that I've given it is ABULE-ADO Emergency Relief Fund. Polaris Bank 40,300,17510. Zenith Bank, the same account name. The account number for Zenith Bank is 101-718-4516. 101-718-4516. Sorry, 45716. And GT Bank, the account number is 0568615688. I'll repeat. GT Bank 0568615688. And I've just explained and mentioned to you that before the close of business today, tomorrow, the state government, part of this 2 billion relief fund, 250 million will be credited into that account. Any Nigerian that so wish to contribute, have any of these 3 banks to go to and contribute. Later today, gentlemen of the press, I'll be making effort to meet with Mr. President. He needs to see and understand the level of the destruction that we have here. And I'll be briefing him, and I'll be soliciting for the cooperation and the support of the federal government.
State Governor there as to more efforts, but also still on the ABULE-ADO area, it appears more developments have emerged. Let's get more from our correspondent at the scene. Dari Dowu is live for us. Dari, I'd like to thank you for joining us at this time. I must indeed ask...
Here are the scene of the incident. I can tell you that emergency operation is still ongoing here. 2 more bodies have been recovered, and that is what is going on right behind me. You may not be able to see it with the camera zooming into the action there, because right here, emergency management officials are having a problem with crowd control. In the morning, when I crossed and gave the update, I said something about the fact that there seemed to be a level of sanity around there, with officials trying to control the crowd. And that apparently was because of the fact that the governor was around, who also spoke about people leaving the life site, leaving where emergency operations are ongoing. Right there, body bags are laid there, but people are covering it right now because they're trying to have a glimpse of what is happening. Of course, we've been having interactions with authorities, with residents. Residents seem to disagree with authorities as to what has caused the fire incident here, or the explosion, if I may say. They said it had nothing to do with the gas that they've been talking about, the pipelines, and the fact that some of them are not so tidy, and what could have caused it is not what the NNPC GMD said yesterday. A lot of reactions. The story is developing quite fast as well, and we'll keep updating as we have the details. Back to you, Millicent.
All right, many thanks, Dario, our correspondent there, making clarifications as to fact from fiction. We'll stay on that story and bring you more updates. Let's move over to some political stories now. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja is set to hear the appeal filed by the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, Mr. Adams Oshiomhole, who is challenging his suspension by an Abuja High Court. The Abuja High Court, presided over by Justice Danlami Senti, had granted an order of interlocutory injunction stopping Comrade Oshiomhole from parading himself as the national chairman of the APC pending the hearing and determination of the suit seeking to give effect to the suspension order slammed on him by his ward in Edo State. Now, following the court order, Mr. Oshiomhole on the 5th of March appealed the court judgment which suspended him as national chairman of the party. In the notice of appeal filed on 4 grounds, Mr. Oshiomhole faulted the whole ruling of the trial court which granted the motion on notice for the interlocutory injunction. Well, the crisis rocking the leadership of the ruling All Progressives Congress may be resolved as early as today. The governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, he told Channels Television that the governors of the party have agreed to talk about the situation in a bid to find a solution to whatever might have caused the crisis. According to him, the convening of a National Executive Council (NEC) of the party tomorrow will be determined by the outcome of the meeting today.
I don't believe that we shall have crisis in the party right now. We just went through elections. A lot of us are just learning how to settle down for governance. So we shouldn't go into another round of politics of this. So it is better to identify what is the major problem. What problem are we having, for instance, in Edo State? Can we resolve it? What problems are we having with the chairman? Can we resolve them? It is at the end of the meeting today we will decide whether we shall have a NEC tomorrow or not. So right now, anybody who tells you there will be NEC tomorrow or there won't be NEC tomorrow is just guessing. The reality is that the outcome of our meeting today that we are having with the governors and now with Mr. President will determine whether there is going to be NEC tomorrow or not.
However, former Lagos State Governor and national leader of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, has been reacting to the leadership crisis rocking the party. He has described the clamour to oust the party's national chairman, Adams Oshiomhole, as a 2023 virus. He believes those behind the plot to remove Mr. Oshiomhole are pursuing personal 2023 ambition. The former Lagos governor went further to say that those afflicted with the 2023 virus do a grave disservice to President Buhari and his administration, as he believes these actions distract the nation's #1 citizen from issues of governance. Mr. Tinubu, in a statement released, says, quote, the plotters launched their attack solely because they perceive the chairman as an obstacle to their 2023 ambitions. People went to court knowing full well the party constitution prohibits such action because these people had not yet exhausted all internal disciplinary procedures. We even had a national deputy secretary improperly call for a NEC meeting on the basis that he believed himself the acting national chairman. Clearly, this man would not have summoned the temerity to make such a move had he not been instigated by powerful individuals who he thought would reward or at least protect him for committing the wrongful act. Mr. Tinubu admits that Mr. Oshiomhole has both his faults and strengths, but insists the man should not be discarded on the basis of some of his faults. He concluded the statement by admonishing APC faithfuls to dedicate their energies to helping President Buhari win the present That way, he believes it will help the president secure the future for the nation, the party, and even whatever personal ambitions anyone may incur. Well, tomorrow, some anti-Shomole members of the APC are insisting that they will convene and hold the party's National Executive Committee meeting tomorrow. That's Tuesday. Let's get some perspectives into the issues. I'm now being joined by Mr. Emwanta Adaze from London and Mr. Max Ogar in our Abuja studios. They're both legal practitioners. I'd like to thank you both for joining us at this time. I must begin perhaps with you, Mr. Ogar. First, let me get your view, especially with regards to the planned NEC meeting tomorrow. And that is, do you think that the meeting will hold and perhaps that it has the president's blessings, Mr. Ogar?
Well, we just heard from His Excellency Engineer A.A. Sule, the governor of Nasarawa State, that whoever says that the NEC meeting will hold tomorrow or will not hold is just engaging in guesswork. So for now, we cannot say there's a meeting that is slated to hold later today. That meeting will determine what happens tomorrow. We cannot get into guesswork at this moment. I am also not in a position to say whether or not the president has endorsed the NEC meeting expected to hold tomorrow.
Mr. Adaze, do you have a different view?
Though I didn't hear what he said very clearly, but I know that there's an FCT High Court, which of course restrained those saying that the NEC meeting for tomorrow should not hold. But as the Nasarawa State governor said, the APC governors will be meeting today and they will definitely take a decision on the way forward. And of course, they will have the National Caucus meeting, which the president will be part of. But I think for us to get things right, we must consider that there are court orders that must be obeyed, even if they now decide to maintain the status quo. It therefore means that the national secretary, that's the national secretary, remains as the acting national chairman because of nature abhors vacuum. And I hear that the national chairman and others at the Court of Appeal are expecting something miraculous to happen. There's no way the appeal court will look at an appeal whose hearing date is just today. So for us, I think it's proper that the next meeting goes ahead based on the FCT High Court order so that the party can move on.
But Mr. Emwanta, still taking a look at this, you've mentioned some of the cases in court. I mean, the Chairman of the Reconciliation Committee, for example, Mr. Chief Akonde, said that cases filed over the disputes in the party are harmful to the party in compound ways, and that it's as if one side definitely wins in court and the other loses. He says it's not the best way to resolve political disputes. What do you think about that?
We operate a constitutional democracy, and I think I at least expected that from the chairman of the National Reconciliation Committee. You know, when you look at the contemporaneous nature of the statement and that of the former governor of Lagos State, Bola Tinubu, who is also here in London, you know, it's quite unfortunate that he will make such a statement. What do you expect the people to do? Can they resort to violence? They cannot resort to violence. They must toe the path of the rule of law. And I think the court has helped in dousing the tension. We have orders that may be conflicting, but when you have two conflicting orders of court, what you do is you look at your constitution, which is the APC constitution, and our constitution deals purely with organs, and organs the National Executive Committee of the party, which has the power to ratify whatever arrangements that we have on ground. We have an acting national chairman, which of course is the de facto national chairman, the person of Victor Giadom, and I think the governor should come around to support him, depending when we have the national convention, where some of it. So the next meeting of tomorrow is supported by an FCT High Court, which has restrained anybody from preventing the holding of that meeting. And I think at that meeting tomorrow, certain decisions should be taken. It is democracy. People have the right to boycott. Those in London, those saying they will not attend, they have the right to boycott. And the meeting of tomorrow necessarily will bring about what we need in the party, the stability. And I think the president at this time should take up the conflict by providing leadership, because the National Caucus has that meeting, so that we don't have a stalemate.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and also we'll come back to hear what Mr. Ogar has to say with regards to efforts of the Reconciliation Committee. Still to come on Lunchtime Politics, we'll tell you more about the crisis rocking the Lagos State House of Assembly. Do join us again. Welcome back to the program. But first, some of our stories in brief. Now, after months of litigation, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Edo State, they've held its first Congress in Benin City, the capital, with new executives elected to pilot the affairs of the party for the next 4 years. At the end of voting and counting on Sunday, Dr. Tony Aziegbeni emerged winner as the new state chairman of the party, while Hilary Otsu was elected state secretary. Elsewhere, Kogi State Governor Mr. Yaya Bello is given the newly appointed Senior Special Assistant on Security Matters in the 21 local government areas 8 weeks to get rid of every criminal in the state. The governor gave the order while inaugurating some of his appointees, various chairmen, members of the government house in Lokoja, the state capital. He says his administration will no longer allow criminals to terrorize residents of Kogi State. Well, back to our discussion as tension builds amid APC's planned emergency meeting tomorrow. We've been getting perspectives on the matter with Mr. Adaze Emwanta via Skype from London, and also Mr. Max Ogar in our Abuja studios. Let's get your thoughts now, Mr. Ogar. And this is also on the Reconciliation Committee. If you think that there is still hope to address some of these issues, seeing as what the Nasarawa State Governor has said, and then perhaps what Mr. Emwanta's view of the fact that we are a democracy and we still hold the Constitution. And this is also regardless of some who believe that the meeting tomorrow is illegal because some of the constitution of the party, some of the provisions haven't actually been exhausted, all the internal disciplinary procedures of the APC's constitution. Mr. Ogar.
Yes, Millicent, let me start by disagreeing with my learned friend who spoke from London. Anyone and everyone who has the interest of the All Progressives Congress at heart must and should support the position taken by the pioneer national chairman of the party, Chief Bisi Akande, who coincidentally is the chairman of the National Reconciliation Committee, that political issues cannot be resolved via litigation. All we need to do is to come together and respect the party's constitution. The party's constitution says all internal crises must first be submitted to the adjudicatory processes within the party before they are taken out. You must exhaust all internal dispute resolution mechanisms before you take out these issues to the court. So if we are really interested in the cohesion of the APC, if we are really interested in governance at this point as opposed to politics, I don't think we should disagree with Chief Bisi Akande. I don't want to go into the legality or otherwise of the proposed NEC meeting of tomorrow, but it is elementary law that there's a lease pending in the Court of Appeal. So if a lease is pending in the Court of Appeal by virtue of the appeal filed by the national chairman, Comrade Adams Oshimole, I don't think anyone should still hold tenaciously to the order of the FCT High Court, which suspends the national chairman. We must learn from our lessons. It is because of crises like this that we lost Rivers. It is because of crises like this that we lost Zamfara. It is because of crises like this that we almost lost Ogun. It is because of crises like this that APC suffered a lot in the last general elections. So we should come together. Courts cannot help us stay together. The courts cannot help us stay together. It is only when we sit on the round table and resolve our issues along the lines that Chief Bola Tinubu is proposing, along the lines that Chief Bisi Akande is proposing, along the lines that Governor A.A. Sule is proposing, that we can make progress. There's nothing that cannot be resolved on a round table. So let's look forward to what the governors will discuss later this afternoon or probably in the evening, and we'll take it up from there. I believe that the APC will come out of this crisis united and stronger.
All right. Finally, to you, Mr. Emwanta, don't you agree that this political misunderstanding between Adams Oshomole and Governor Basaki was sort of like a rallying point for those desperate for 2023? Do you agree that this is really an old ambition of what Chief Tinubu calls the virus of 2023?
I think I have so much respect for Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the former governor of Lagos, and the fact that he is not even around to attend the NEC meeting shows that he's the one leading the group that wants to boycott. And again, he has a presidential ambition. That's the only ambition we know of. So if he talks of a virus, I don't think coronavirus or any kind of virus has anything to do with the civilian dictatorship of Adams Oshiomhole. Just Friday last week, the Sokoto High Court voided his appointment of Issa Nilu as a National Police Secretary. The restraining order is to the effect that it is only the National Convention that can elect officers of a party. And that order also means that by implication, the legal implication of that order is that even his appointment of ABULE-ADO, the former governor of Oyo, Waziru Buluma, and the man he appointed as the auditor, cannot stand. Because a party does not belong to an individual. You cannot run a party the way a sole proprietorship business is run. Himself and Tinubu, they sit somewhere, they decide the fate of the party. And I think this is a time for the national caucus of the party to give direction, for the president to give direction. There are court orders that must be obeyed. We have an acting national chairman. It's either we allow him to continue to when we have a convention, or at the national executive of the party tomorrow, they take a decision. Why are people afraid of having a meeting? These are organs of a party. They are organs of a party. And Oshiomhole made them to be inchoate. We don't even have a board of trustees. He refused to commence the process of appointing members into the board of trustees. He was operating with a rat-pack ESCO, and it's quite complex. That's how we must make a decision today at the level of the governors' meeting, at the level of the national caucus, and tomorrow we have our national executive committee of the party so that we can move on as a party. Nigeria is looking up to the APC.
All right, quickly to you, Mr. Ogar, and this is your final word on this. Do you see a party, and that's the APC, with a future beyond Comrade Adams Oshiomhole?
Yes, of course, I see a bright future ahead of the party. Every crisis engender a stronger foundation for every family or organization. I'm very hopeful and optimistic that the APC will come out stronger and Comrade Adams Oshiomhole will triumph. Remember, the order we are talking about is interlocutory. It's not the final judgment of a court. The order of the FCT High Court is an interlocutory order. It is not a final judgment. You know, so let parties go into hearing the case on the merit. Let's also hear what will come out of the Court of Appeal later today. So in summary, I'm very, very hopeful that the party will come out stronger from this crisis.
All right. We'd like to appreciate your time, Mr. Max Ogar, who joined us from Abuja Studios, and, of course, to you, Mr. Adadze Emwanta from London. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Now, it appears a big crisis looming at the Lagos State House of Assembly in the wake of the suspension of the chief whip of the House, Mr. Rotimi Abiru, and the Deputy Majority Leader, Mr. Lumuyiwa Jimoh. The coalition of civil society groups and the Lagos People's Assembly, they've kicked against the action of the lawmakers, saying the crisis is drawing the state back. The groups at a press conference in Lagos say that Lagosian stakeholders in the democratic process are curious about the desperate manner in which the Speaker, Mr. Mudashiru Obasa, arrived at this decision, and the general manager in which he has continued to conduct the businesses of the House.
Tomorrow, there are a series of activities and series of engagement of the citizens and stakeholders, because the legislature, whether you like it or not today, remains the heartbeat of every democracy.
The National Conscience Party, one of the political parties recently deregistered by INEC, says the deregistration of political parties is an attempt to strangulate the people's voice with high level of impunity and total lack of regard to the rule of law. The party claims that the action of the electoral umpire is a continuous attempt to destroy the hard-earned democracy. At the end of the meeting held at the NCP National Secretariat, the party says it will support the existing case that was instituted by 33 political parties in any way that it can. The NCP also says it has also resolved to institute fresh suit against INEC in a competent court of law to fight for its fundamental right to freedom of association as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's our program this afternoon. Many thanks for watching. Don't forget to join the discussion via social media platforms. I'm Millicent Walker. I'll see you soon.